KFSR at CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger, a public affairs program featuring stories from all over the Central Valley with Sevag Tateosian, 90.7 KFSR.
Welcome to another edition of the Central Valley Ledger. We're recording via Skype. Thank you to our friends at Skype for making this recording possible. We're almost back in the studio, but we wanted to continue the show remotely via Skype because of social distancing. Speaking of friends, I'd like to introduce you to Artie Padilla. He's been a friend of the show. He's been on the show several times. Artie, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Sevag. Great to be back.
By the way, I haven't seen you in a while. How is everything going with you? You staying healthy?
Yep, I'm staying healthy, doing what I need to do to stay healthy with the social distancing and the masking. And even though that we still have a lot of things happening out in the community, we're doing what we can to stay healthy and safe.
So you're with an organization, Every Neighborhood Partnership. I remember coming out to one of your Saturday sports events. It was pretty cool. You had the kids playing sports, you had a person fixing bikes, and then after everything was done, everybody ate together. Talk a little bit about that. Has that been going on because of COVID or what?
No, with that, most of our programming like that had to stop. For a couple of reasons, for the gathering purposes, obviously, but also because they closed down the schools and they didn't allow community organizations to use the schools even on the weekends, which, happens on Saturday sports. So all those factors in place, and then just the unknowns of COVID early on, we pretty much had to shut down 85% of our programming.
That's got to be a challenge, Artie, especially for someone like you who loves to give back, who loves to help the community. COVID presented some challenges, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, for many organizations. And like I said, for us, we mobilize hundreds of volunteers, and they're all placed in school classrooms, helping out at recess, after school, our mentoring programs, our literacy programs, the Saturday sports programs. But even with our parents, we meet at schools for our parent meetings, usually in either an empty classroom or a cafeteria. And, with them closing down all the school campuses, we had to, we're still trying to navigate getting parents to use things like Zoom. So it's a challenge.
I'll tell you, the first time I recorded via Skype, I had to navigate some volume issues because I recorded at a higher volume than really we should have. So I had to go back and do a lot of editing. So, and I know about technology, so I can imagine that for some folks, maybe this is a difficult thing to do with technology.
Yeah, we've learned that they can navigate Facebook Live really well. So we're trying to utilize that since they're familiar with that, but the other forms of virtual gatherings are there's a lot more coaching and learning that has to go towards it.
I believe that of everything, there's at least a little bit of good. So I'm hoping that after COVID is done, there's some good that comes out of this.
Well, we are optimists, so we know that there will be some good.
Artie, we have to talk about finances. Organizations like first of all, in the Fresno area, you and I know, for years ago, we were working on financial education together. Organizations like yours, who are these, who I call grassroots, really helping people on the ground, funding isn't that easy to come across. And so with COVID, I bet you that presents some challenges. So talk about how people can help your organization and where it is you need help.
Yeah, well, I would say the majority, we're a mid-sized nonprofit, so the small nonprofits are really struggling. The ripple effect is our donors are also financially impacted, right? So that our businesses, our churches, everyone's impacted by the economic effect of COVID. So, grants have been put on hold, that a lot of us kind of had grants out there pending. So yeah, those are all challenges. There's, if everyone can go to our website and look to see what we do, what our normal programming looks like when schools are open, and if that's a great fit for them, they can donate right on our website right there. So there's ample opportunity to look at what we have been doing, but we've also reflected on our website how we had to shift from March 13th when they closed down schools. We made a pretty quick shift to what we were going to be doing to support the COVID relief efforts. So that's on our website as well. So, and we actually held a Zoom gathering for our donors, just to let them know of our shifting and how we had to put a hold on our programming, the majority of it, but that we were just shifting some of those efforts to relief efforts for food distributions. We kicked into some book distributions, even helping FCHIP, our local health initiative, with some diaper formula distributions, things like that. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I think this is one time where you're the nonprofits that you do support, whether it's ENP or somebody else, continue to support them, even if it's have to reduce it because of your own effects of the economy. Continue to support them, because when things do get back to normal, we're really going to need these nonprofits active, engaging with our kids, our families, all over the community.
So there are a lot of people that have been impacted financially by COVID. You mentioned it. Businesses, churches are the big one. My wife and I, we used to go to church almost every Sunday. We used to take the kids to Sunday school. We haven't been back to church since probably February. So all that plays into this. Artie, people like me who, my job hasn't been impacted by COVID, so I'm still working. Why should I consider donating to EMP and other nonprofits, especially since I haven't been impacted financially?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. So I think one of the things we knew, but it's really, so many things are coming into light with COVID. The racial disparity issues, things like that. But I think there's a newfound awareness of how deeply needed community-based organizations are in our county, in Fresno. They are the bridge between a lot of institutional services and what's happening in the neighborhoods. They are the connectivity to these residents, and even to awareness of what's happening with public health, behavioral health, our school districts. There's, if it wasn't for CBOs, there'd be an even larger disconnect between a lot of our residents and what happens in the civic world. So that's that. And our CBO structure here in Fresno has been created to really work with every people group. So we have nonprofits that work with the indigenous community, the African American community, the Latino community, the undocumented community, the Armenian community. So we are very diverse in who we serve, and that it's really shown to. There's a really strong partnership between institutions and CBOs, and how that they connect to the community, the residents, and our kids. So that's come to light, and that's one of the reasons why people should give to their local nonprofits.
I'm a fan of what you do, of what your organization does. I know, years ago we used to be closer partners on stuff when I used to be in the nonprofit world. You take churches and you connect with schools and you provide resources to the schools. And I love that concept because it's helping each other. I mean, I know you do a lot more than that, but did I get it right? Is that kind of the foundation?
Yeah. So that was the very purpose why we launched. We have, gosh, if you just look at Fresno City alone, we've got 450 churches in Fresno, and that's just the Christian churches. You add the mosques, you have all these other faith groups, and the faith community is strong in Fresno, and you have at at least, if you start counting charter schools, a couple of hundred schools in Fresno. So, there's a great opportunity to build partnerships between the two. But as ENP has evolved, we've included with the church the local businesses, our universities and colleges, mobilizing their students, and the very residents of our neighborhoods themselves become part of these volunteer teams in these schools. So, what we've kind of readapted a little bit, and we really basically say we mobilize our community to serve our community, and we just leverage the platform of the elementary school because those seem to be the hubs of the little neighborhoods. There's 92 public elementary schools in Fresno, so that's how we broke up Fresno into those 292 neighborhoods.
Let's talk about a little bit literacy, something that your organization has been involved in. And again, I love that concept because to me, someone who can read and write well, the better you read, the stronger you write, it'll get attention. In my day job at the public health department, I do a lot of reading and I read a lot of resumes. And I know right away the strong resumes, the ones that can articulate well, they pop out. It's like a grant. A grant is the same thing.
Yeah.
You write and you present your organization, and when you can do that in a storytelling way, it grabs attention. Talk about the work you're doing in literacy.
Yeah, so I'll share about why we do it first. We know that in the city of Fresno, with Fresno Unified, that about 36% of our kids are reading at the grade level. So, that is a disparity. It's a social disparity because we know that you have to be able to read. And we know that after third grade, they don't teach you how to read in the grades after that. You have to get supplemental help somewhere else. So we see that as a huge social marker, that third grade reading level. Data shows that kids that don't read by third grade, that are not reading at the grade level, the path for them of their earnings, their whole lifetime is much lower. Their chances of being incarcerated are higher. There's so many negative effects of not being able to read at your grade level by third grade. So we basically wanted to help. We come along our teachers, and we are training volunteers from these churches, businesses, universities, and they are being placed in classrooms with the teacher and helping that teacher work with some of those kids that are really behind, giving them some one-on-one time. So when we were cranking things up before COVID, we had over 200 trained volunteers in classrooms. And we were seeing, this is about our third year doing this intentional literacy work. We see at the end of the year, these kids, with the great teaching, of course, that our kids versus other kids that are not in literacy programs at other schools are elevating their sight word recognition and their phonics like 300% improvements. So, that added attention, and we call it literacy mentoring because there's a relational connection to that as well. It's not just drilling them on the literacy components. It's that social emotional connection that these kids need as well. So it's really addressing two major felt needs: the literacy and the social emotional need of our students.
Artie, let's talk. Some people will say, let the schools do this, let the parents do this. Not everybody has, like in my situation, I've got 3 young kids, but my wife is home and she does the best that she can to teach them. And I also try to help. And we're both college educated. And not that that's anything special, but the reality is some of these kids don't have anybody to do this at home. You've been on the ground longer than me, Artie. Talk about that.
Yeah, so there's a couple of factors. There's the school factor and the neighborhood factor. So the school factor, teachers have 25, 30 kids in one classroom, and they have that's 30 different kids they're all at different levels. So how do you teach to all of those kids when they're all at different levels of first grade, second grade, whatever grade we're talking about? Um, and it's really hard to give them that attention, the ones that are really behind. That's where these literacy mentors play a unique role that helps that teacher give those that are really struggling that extra time, one-on-one time. The second part is the family. So there's many factors. Sometimes it's a single parent home. I think the last percentage that I saw from Fresno Unified was 24% of families in Fresno Unified were like single parent homes. So, I mean, usually that parent's working, right? So, and sometimes multiple jobs. That is a struggle for a single parent to have to come home after working one or two jobs and to work with their kids. They probably do a little bit, but probably not to the extent that the kids need. And the other factor is language. So a lot of our families don't speak or read English. So it's really hard for them unless they are being kind of coached on how to help their kids in their own language. That is a big barrier. And that's why we see a lot of our parents that don't speak or read English, they have to leverage their older kids helping their younger kids. So that's a major barrier as well.
Speaking of single parent households, I want to just say I commend single parent households for what they do. You know, I work, I work at the health department, so my job hours with COVID have been crazy because we're disaster workers now. But prior to that, it was generally 8 to 5, 8 to 5:30. So I was home in the evenings and I'm home in the mornings. Single family households, I give them a lot of credit. I think that the struggles that come with that kind of household for the kids and the parent is incredible. And so I'm glad you mentioned that because that is a challenge out there.
Yeah.
Artie, let's talk a little bit about health. So, because of COVID, the gyms have been closed and, I feel a little extra weight down there around my belt. So, talk a little bit about what you're doing in health and fitness because you've always done it, but I don't know if you've always had a couple of positions dedicated to health and fitness.
Yeah, we've had the last couple of years, we've had a staff person what we call neighborhood fitness. So what she was coordinating also on the school campus was Latin dance classes for our residents in the neighborhoods. And those were really popular. Some of our schools had 40, 50 parents in the cafeteria doing a Latin dance class once school starts in the cafeteria. Now that actually has shifted to virtual classes. And I was actually just browsing this morning on Facebook. So they do them on Facebook Live. The instructors will set the camera up in their living room and they have about 12 classes a week virtually. And our numbers have grown to, I think about 500 people are participating in those Latin dance classes. So they're generally about 40 minutes long. And, now we're seeing the whole family working out together in the living room. So that is actually one success growth area of our programming because it actually has gotten more people aware of Latin dance neighborhood fitness than when we were doing it live at the schools. So that's the power of Facebook.
And it's a great exercise, by the way. Like I was in 5th grade when I was involved in a quinceañera and I learned the cumbia. And I'll tell you, I sweated. It was fun, though. We had a great time. So I could tell that those families doing that are enjoying it.
Yeah, they do.
Artie, talk about helping each other. Now, the other day when I was talking to a former Mexican ambassador to the United States, he said a rising tide helps boats on both sides of the border, meaning having a great relationship between the countries. And I look at us as a community and I think, that applies to us too. The stronger I am and the stronger you are, the stronger our community is. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Everyone will prosper when the least of these prosper. So and that's really honestly, that's a big part of what we're seeing in our country right now with racial equity. Is that the whole Black Lives Matter movement is about equity. It's about if we need to thrive, as our Black brothers and sisters are saying, we need to thrive, because if we thrive, you too will thrive. And if we're oppressed, you're not going to be at your healthiest either. So that really is a big part of this movement. And you can drill that down into your neighborhood. So if everyone in your neighborhood is doing well, that's going to be a healthy neighborhood, right? But if one person is in a broken situation, that affects the whole neighborhood. So that you can zoom that out to a city, a county, a state, a country, and the world. So absolutely, we do need to have, and unfortunately everyone knows that Fresno has that historical context of a tale of two cities. We do have the data that shows these disparities. We have as you know, with public health, we have a 21-year life expectancy difference between 93706 zip code where I live to the 93720 zip code in Fresno. That's a what, 9-minute drive, Sevag, down 41. So that just shows right now that there's a brokenness in what that equity is talking about. So we need to address that. We need to work on repairing that and restoring families, individuals. When you look at health, it's not just your personal health, but that's important. It's your financial health. We worked on that together. It's your mental health. It's your emotional health. It's all of those and more that make a healthy, holistic person.
Artie, you could move anywhere you want in this city and in this county. But I have a feeling that you purposely stay in the neighborhood you're in. We both live west of 99. I grew up on this side of the town, and it's easy for me to pack up and go. And sometimes when there are challenges in the neighborhood, I'll be honest, I tell my wife, you know what, we're moving. That's it, And then we think about it and we're like, there's a bond here in our neighborhood. And if everybody thinks like us and packs up and goes, what's that saying about our streets and our neighborhoods? Why do you stay where you stay? I mean, I know you can go. You can go up north. You can go wherever in the county you want.
Yeah, I think I love Southwest Fresno. I've almost all of my life I've lived in Southwest Fresno, so I understand the culture. I love just the diversity of it. I know there's challenges, but there's something unique in those neighborhoods that aren't lived out in other neighborhoods. There's a historical context to it, even though some of that history is not good with like redlining and things like that. But there's just, people are genuine. Most people that have been there most of their lives like me choose to stay there because of the same reasons. They love it. There's a deep-rooted connection to it that just stirs our souls. So yeah, I don't know. It's something that is just woven in me, and I appreciate what it is.
So we're running out of time this week on the program, Artie. I want to help. After this broadcast, I'm going to go and I'm going to donate to your organization, because I know that there are challenges that these organizations are facing now, but there's also this ripple effect in the future. The budgets for the municipalities don't look good.
Right.
And so how can people do that? How can I go and donate to your organization?
Yeah, thank you, Sevag. I appreciate that. Yeah, so everyneighborhood.org is our website, everyneighborhood.org. You can, there's actually a donate button right on the front page there. So you can click on that. It's pretty easy. You can make a one-time donation. You can set yourself up for monthly donations. You can get on our newsletter right there on that front page too. And, whenever we can get back to doing our banquets, you can sign up to be a part of our banquets in the future. So, and then you can learn about all the work that's going on through ENP and our partners. So it's a great way to, and there's so much information on our website that you can learn about our community. So it's a great place to learn more about Fresno and our neighborhoods and our families. We have a lot of blogs from students from high school to college to volunteers that are 70 years old working in the classrooms to young kids that are helping out at Saturday Sports. So just go to everyneighborhood.org and we'd love your support.
Artie, thank you for your time. Always a pleasure talking to you. I haven't talked to you in months, but I feel like yesterday we were promoting financial education out in the community.
Yeah. And did I see you yesterday at the Juneteenth? Did I see you there? Yeah,
yes,
I was totally on the other end, and I was locked in conversations, and I lost sight of you.
So I was there, and I'll tell you, at the health department, and I've told the audience before that I work at the health department. We're big on social distancing and masking. So I wanted to mingle in because the music started and the dance move started, and I go, you know what?
Yeah.
No, because if someone sees me in the middle of the crowd, they're going to say, hey, you're the one that's telling us social distance. So I was there, and, for me, the reason it's important is when a population, a group in our community, any group, wants to be heard, we need to listen.
Yeah. Yes.
Some people think it's controversial, but for me, we need to listen to all segments. This is our community. We don't have a community that everybody looks the same. We need to listen to each other and hear each other's frustrations. And that's the only way we're going to get stronger. That's what I think.
I agree. And I will tell Dave Palmaville, I did see you on the periphery. You were social distancing. So you were doing your job.
Thank you very much, Artie. Great talking to you. Good luck to you. And I am going to donate, and I'm going to encourage everybody to donate.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, Sevag. Have a great day.
KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger every Sunday morning at 11:30. For a complete program schedule, visit kfsr.org.